good afternoon, almost good evening for everybody on the East Coast. For you West Coasters, evening's coming up. You're probably at work or leaving work right now. For those of you on the East Coast, you're probably at home already or almost home. And for those of you in the Midwest, not quite sure because some of you are at 4 o'clock and the others, I think 5, maybe, Mountain Time. Not quite sure. We should have those clocks here where it shows all the different times and all the different time zones. I think that would be great. Ladies and gentlemen, again, a quick thank you to all of our new subscribers from our last episode with Jason Dolly. We got a nice bump up, and dude, you guys are killing it, okay, with your support. We had a big uptick, too, with our Skillshare subscribers. For those of you who signed up and got 2 months free, you guys have started the new year the right way. With 2 months free of that premium membership, all you've got to do is go to Skillshare.com/Wesam. And I've been using it. Jontis Aquinas, also known as Jonte LaGrasse. You know what? He's actually in my phone as Assgrass because he made me angry years ago, and I just left him in there as Assgrass. And that's what he's going to stay in. Jonte Assgrass. He's actually started the Japanese language course as well, and he says he's loving it. So get on it before that deal goes away. 2 months free of their premium membership, and then, guys, you can cancel it after the 2 months. Okay, don't, but you can. Okay, just try it out, and guess what? If you've gone 2 months with it, you're going to be like, you know what? I want to keep Skillshare. That's how confident I am. Today's guest, I'm actually really, really, really excited for. This is someone I've been wanting to have. Not necessarily him in particular, but just our paths have crossed to where it happened. I've always wanted to have a hypnotist on the show. And we're going to talk a little bit about the history of hypnotism, what hypnotism is, what he does. And I have an array, a spectrum of questions to ask him. And I am more than thrilled to have him on. He has a very successful YouTube channel. He's also on TikTok, I believe, right, Zach? Yeah, he's nodding through the window. He's a TikTok hypnotist. TTH. That doesn't sound good. No. What's hashtag TTH? No, nobody's going to know what that is. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Zach Pincince. All right.
Thanks for having me on.
Of course, man.
Hi.
How are you?
Amazing.
Just pull that up to you right there.
Right
Perfect,
here.
man. You have come the most dressed ever here, which is a good thing. It's a good thing. Like with the blazer and everything, you look very sleek, man.
This is kind of my uniform. If you watch my YouTube videos or TikTok clips, you see it's usually wearing this when I perform and do my shows. So
yeah.
Kind of developed a costume, if you will. My siblings joke I'm like a cartoon character. I wear the same thing every time. But, keeps it easy, keeps it consistent. So
well, I see you're wearing a white V-neck. That's most of my attire. It keeps it easy and simple, so I totally agree with you.
Blazer, we're like twinning right now. Right?
I know, right? Oh, my gosh. That would have been something. It would have been something, that's for sure.
Would have been.
Real quick, how long have you been doing hypnotism?
So I started learning a little over 2 years ago. So
yeah, just keep this close.
Yep.
Yeah, there.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I started learning a little over 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I learned my last year of college, so my senior year, I started learning just for fun. Just self-taught, picked up some books, some DVDs, and decided to learn it. And after a few months of teaching myself, I decided, you know what? I'm getting good at this, I'm enjoying this, and I'm going to do it when I graduate. And so I graduated from the University of New Hampshire in May of 2018 and went straight into doing hypnosis professionally when I graduated. So full-time for about a year and a half, but from ground zero, knowing nothing about it a little over 2 years ago to now where I'm at today, it's been pretty cool.
Was your family supportive of this, or were they like, Zach, what you doing?
There were mixed feelings. They weren't totally supportive, but they weren't unsupportive either. It wasn't a like, oh, you can't do this, what are you doing?
Right.
But it wasn't a like, oh, yay, great for you, you're going to be a hypnotist. I think it was more the, okay, sure, do what you want to do, but in the back of their mind, probably expecting that I was going to fail, expecting I was going to come to my senses and get a real job. And the more successful this has become, the more they're like, oh, he actually did this. What?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome, good for him.
Right. What is the end goal here? When you started it, were you like, I want to have a show in Vegas, or?
So the end goal of what I'm doing, so as a hypnotist, when I started, it was purely for entertainment, becoming a stage hypnotist, doing shows and doing what I'm doing now, where I tour and do the college circuit and perform for schools around the country. But the more I've gotten into doing hypnosis, which I'm sure we'll dive into this episode, the more I've learned about more of the transformational aspects of hypnosis. So because hypnosis is about shifting a belief, you can do it on an entertaining aspect on a show or in the fun YouTube, TikTok videos, but you can also use those same principles to help people to transform and change their life. So for me, my end goal, the big vision with all of this, is to build my brand and platform as an entertainer as big as I can get, so that as a hypnotist, when people see me doing these fun, entertaining, cool things, they can also come and be like, well, wait a minute, these tools actually can be used to help me to be more confident, to break through anxiety, depression, eliminate an addiction, a fear, a phobia, help somebody to completely change their life. Because to me, that's sort of my big picture goal and vision for what I'm doing is, Jackie Robinson, baseball player, once said, a life has no meaning except in the impact it has on other lives. So for me, the more that I can use this platform I'm building as an entertainer to impact and transform lives through this tool of hypnosis, to me, that's the end goal.
Well, that's so interesting you say that, because during my research of hypnotism, the ancient Egyptians, the Greeks, the beginning of the Hindu religion around that area of around that time period, they were actually using hypnotism as well as a tool for healing people.
Yeah.
And they were getting people into these like almost meditative states that was different from sleep itself.
Yep.
In your videos, if people are familiar with them, you go sleep, gonna get deeper into sleep.
Yep.
It's actually, it feels to me it's more of a meditative state. Am I correct by saying that?
Yeah, and so there's an important distinction to make too, because even a lot of people with hypnosis specifically, they think hypnosis is just the relaxation or it's just a trance. But then you wonder, well, then what's the difference between hypnosis and meditation? If, like you said, it's a meditative state and you're really relaxed. And I like to distinguish it by saying hypnosis is like meditation with utilization. A lot of times the point of meditation is just to get to that state. You get really, really relaxed, you clear your mind, and then you chill there for a couple minutes to feel really peaceful, and then you come back out of it and you leave. Hypnosis is you help get into that meditative state, because when your mind shifts into that state, it's sort of like when you're dreaming or when you're daydreaming or when you're in that reverie state, to help shift your mind into creating more of a belief and an expectation and an experience of your reality out of that mindset. So when you're in that meditative state, then you use it, you utilize it, and then you start giving yourself either positive suggestions to create a positive transformational change, or in the entertainment world, you'd get suggestions from a hypnotist where you think your experience of reality is different than it actually is, to have the fun, entertaining experience.
I got to be honest with you. That's the part which is I have trouble believing. And I'm not – listen, you're a guest in my house right now. I'm not going to be disrespectful in any type of way, right? But I have to be honest with you at the same time. And I hope you see it from my perspective, somebody kind of outside of that box, seeing that and being like, oh, come on, man. There's no way this person's clucking like a chicken, this complete stranger. So – I'm hoping one of my goals with this conversation with you is to bridge that gap and help me understand it a little bit more from your perspective. And because, I would hope you're not a charlatan. Do you know what I mean?
I just built my entire career on fakeness, hoping no one catches me, right? That'd be...
well, it's happened before.
That's a fair point.
Do you know what I mean? But that's why you're here today.
Exactly.
Because I want some answers.
Wouldn't have showed up if I had stuff to hide, right?
I would hope not. Dude.
Again, this happened before, like you said.
Yeah,
point.
That's why. And I love this kind of stuff because it's going to be real. Whatever happens. And for my listeners out there, they know that I don't BS them in any kind of way. And I know I come off sometimes a little blunt, but at the same time, I want to make sure I'm always respectful too. So
and you have total permission to ask whatever you want. I'm a completely open book about me and my industry, so shoot for it. No questions too hard. Bring it on.
Great. Before we start getting into the actual hypnotism, maybe we try something out here. There's just a few more things I want to talk to you about. Have you ever watched somebody and been like, oh, this guy's the real deal? And have you ever watched somebody and you've been like, I don't know about this guy?
As far as hypnotists are concerned?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think with hypnosis, the interesting thing is that the skill set in particular is not that hard to develop. It's being able to understand how to use that skill set. So just like you could know how to sing, but that doesn't make you a musician, or you could know how to do a card trick, but that doesn't make you a magician.
Right.
So as a hypnotist, I see people that will use the techniques to get somebody into a relaxed state, to put them into trance, to deliver suggestions. But to me, what impresses me when I see people using it is their utilization of the skill. For people to be able to bring in their own personality into it, their own confidence, their own charisma, and be able to really create it into either an entertaining, fun routine or transformational outcome of helping someone to change their life. So it's less about like, oh, this person's not using it well, but just how they bring themselves into it. Which in any realm of entertainment, you want to see people to bring their own personality into their art. So for me, that's always when I watch somebody, to give an example of somebody that does it really well, this guy named Darren Brown, hypnotist, magician, mentalist. He does a lot of theatrics as well. He has a show in New York that he's doing right now on Broadway. But he is somebody that has really mastered his craft and has really become a great showman of being able to use the skill of hypnosis in a way that's entertaining, is educational, and really does it very well, versus I hate to like name drop people in the industry and other hypnotists that are doing what I'm doing, but and I'm not going to name drop anybody, but just generally speaking, there are a lot of hypnotists that they'll do the same show. If you go to 10 different hypnosis shows, chances are 9 of them will be the same routine, same suggestions. So for me, I like seeing, one of the things I do is create my own routines, do things that are more original, bring my own personality into it. So when I look for a good hypnotist, I look for somebody that can bring themselves into it instead of just mimicking what all the other people in their industry are doing, if that makes sense.
That makes total sense. I think that's also in other art forms as well, whether you be a stand-up comedian,
Exactly.
a improv skit person. So always developing and improving and evolving your craft and your act is crucial for you to move forward. I think it was Michael, if you don't mind looking this up, he was on the Joe Rogan podcast. He was a mentalist. I don't know if it's Darren Brown, but it was one of the best episodes I've ever seen of the Joe Rogan Experience because, I don't know, are you familiar with Joe Rogan at all?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. What's his name?
Are you talking about Banachek?
He was a mentalist.
Banachek is a mentalist, professional magician, and thought reader.
Yeah.
This was from 2 years ago, though.
Yeah.
Was that it?
Yeah, that was it. Because he's only had one on there, so that's got to be it
for now.
For now, right? So, with mentalism, is that a cross discipline? Do some of its stuff go into hypnosis as well?
So, and again, no hate to my friends that are mentalists do mentalism, but mentalism and even magic as well are both the illusion of something real that's not. Right? As a magician, when they're doing a card trick and they make a card appear in your wallet, okay, the card didn't magically appear in your wallet. They either planted it there, they put it there, they set it up where they were able to present the illusion of it and make it seem as real as possible that the card went in your wallet.
Okay.
As a mentalist, they're trying to present the illusion of reading your mind or having some sort of psychic powers. And you kind of wonder too, right? If mentalists can read their mind, why do they always have to write it down, right? Somebody has to write it. So there's always some sort of way for them to get the information. It's all a trick and illusion, just like magic. Now, I'm not going to go into the details of how they do that because that spoils the fun and the magic of feeling amazed or feeling like your mind could have been read or this trick could have really happened. But the difference with hypnosis, and part of what drew me to hypnosis specifically, because I actually got into doing magic before I did hypnosis and learned mentalism, did stand-up comedy, improv comedy, a whole bunch of different types of entertainment. But the thing I loved about hypnosis was that it was all real. There's nothing to hide. There's no sneaky moves or sleights that I have to make sure, did you catch me doing this? Did I get away with this move? Did I misdirect you okay? Or not feeling like I'm having to lie to people. If yes, I'm going to read your mind and pretend like I have these special powers and can do this, versus as a hypnotist being like, look, this is actually happening, helping you to understand, using your mind in a way that you might not be used to have a different experience of reality, either in a show or in a transformational way.
You're very articulate.
Thank you.
This is getting me really excited for later on because
Good.
I don't think there's a part of me that's like, I don't think he's gonna. No, I don't know if anything's gonna happen. No, I don't think anything's gonna happen. And then the other part of me is like, what if it does? Then what am I gonna do? How will that change? Okay, so you were talking about the realism and illusion of it, the differences. Is the illusion then in the person's mind, or is that real for them?
So that's exactly what's happening. So let's say in my show, one of my videos I do where I make somebody think that I'm invisible. And they're freaking out because what the heck, he was just here and now he's gone. And then I start picking up a chair while I'm invisible. Oh my gosh, the chair is floating. What's going on? And you see these reactions. And as somebody that's not sure what's going on, you got to think, okay, are they faking it? Are they a really good actor? Like, what is happening? And so what's happening is obviously I'm not invisible. Obviously the chair is not floating. And anybody watching the show or watching the videos can tell that. So that's when they wonder what the heck is going on. But what's happening in the mind of the person experiencing it is that they actually feel like I'm invisible to the point that their mind actually blocks them out from seeing me. And they're having a negative hallucination where they're not seeing I'm there. Sort of like for our listeners, if any of you have had the experience where you go, where's my phone? Where's my phone? Where's my phone? And your friend's like, dude, it's in your hand. You look down, oh, it is there, right? Because your mind was so focused on, I don't know where it is, your mind for a moment actually blocked you out from seeing it.
Right.
And so when people are in that hypnotized state, when I give them a direct suggestion, it's kind of like them being so congruent about the belief, suspending any disbelief that I couldn't be seen, that they literally don't see me. And just like you could pretend that I'm invisible, and you could pretend that you're talking to a ghost and you can't see me right here. But part of you in the back of your mind is saying, well, no, I know that he's right there and I know that I can see him. But in a hypnotized state, if I were to take that voice away, the voice that tells you, no, he's really there and I know I can see him, and the only voice you were hearing is he's not there, I can't see him, the mind just listens to the dominant voice and it says, nope, he's not there, so we block you out from being able to see him for that moment, and you actually have the experience of reality. And that's why it's so entertaining, is because everyone watching it, they know I'm not invisible, but to the people in the chairs, the people up on stage, that's what they're experiencing in that moment. Even though it's not real, they're experiencing it to the point that it feels real. Just like in a dream. In a dream, you know what's happening in the dream isn't real. But while you're dreaming, you're not thinking about whether or not it's real. It feels real to you in that moment, so it's your real experience in the dream.
Yes. So with hypnosis, it's almost like you're keying into a subconscious state a little bit.
A little bit.
A little bit. You do meditation at all?
Yeah.
Yeah? Some of my most intense meditations have garnered very physical results.
Yeah.
Weird stuff. I talked about it. Did I have coffee with Jason yesterday? Yeah, with Jason Dolly. I don't think I've ever talked about this on air, though. I've been taking some Kundalini yoga. Are you familiar with that?
No.
Check it out. It's great. A lot of breath work, breath exercises, some intense breathing. And there was a time during one of our exercises. There's a series of exercises and breathing and hand movements that you do for long periods of time, sometimes like 5, 6, 11 minutes. It's long to do one thing for 11 minutes.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was in this meditative state, and we were talking about really feeling your aura, okay? And I promise you, I felt, with my eyes closed and in a meditative state after all these exercises, I was really trying to feel my aura and really trying to key in, and I got into this meditative state, and it felt like I was the size of the room, like a giant in the room. And it's the weirdest feeling. It was like I was Alice in Wonderland, you know, when she's in the house. Yeah, but I'm like in a meditative state. I'm like, this is bizarre. I feel like I am the size of the room. And then when I woke up, like when I opened my eyes, excuse me, maybe woke up a little bit, it was like this weird perspective because I wasn't the size of the room. Very bizarre. So there might be some similarities, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's check it out. Maybe you'll know more because you've already...
Once I get into it myself, I'll experience it. I'll let you
know. Yeah. Let me know. Email me. So you've been doing it now for roughly how many years, you said?
A little over 2 years.
A little over 2 years. You've garnered amazing results then from it.
Yeah.
Did you immediately start doing the exercises? Did you immediately start filming it, like when you started, or did you wait like a year or so?
What I did is, so when I started, I learned October of my senior year of high school. In October through like December, I was just self-taught, reading books, DVDs, and then January was when I decided, heading into my last semester, that I wanted to do this professionally, wanted to become a hypnotist when I graduate, started working with another hypnotist at the time that I trained with, and over the course of my last semester, was doing a bunch of free shows in the dorms on campus. I would reach out to the dorm directors, the hall directors, and say, I'm going to be a hypnotist when I graduate. I'll do a free show in your dorm. And of course, they're like, hey, free entertainment.
Yeah.
And so I came in and performed in, I think, 17 out of the 22 dorms on campus my last semester. So just getting free shows in, getting my chops, building my skill. And then once I graduated, I got my certification through the National Guild of Hypnotists. And at that point, jumping right into being a hypnotist full-time, I was faced with this dichotomy that most people are faced with when they jump into anything new, which is, how am I going to get hired unless I have experience? But how do I get experience unless I get hired? And so for me, my thought process was, well, I need to develop social proof. I know that I know what I'm doing since I just did all these shows during my last semester of college. But for people that are going to pay me real money to do a show, they're probably going to want to see more than just, oh, he performed in a couple college dorms. So that's when I decided to start filming videos for YouTube. I started up my YouTube channel in June of 2018, literally doing street hypnosis, where I would walk up to strangers in the park, downtown, at the beach, and say, hey, I'm a hypnotist. Do you want to be hypnotized? Most of them would say no, because that's a weird question for a stranger to walk up to you and ask.
100%.
100%.
I would say no. I'd be like, no. I wouldn't even say anything. I'd be like,
And some people do that. They're like, I'm not even looking you in the eyes, and they walk away.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so you got to deal with the rejection and keep going. But
That's tough, man.
It is.
I hate doing that, but sometimes you got to. Do you know what I mean? It's just hard. I do it with the Scientology people. Are you not? You're not a Scientologist, are you? No. Okay, good. I'm just saying. Yeah.
So from there, pushing through that rejection, pushing through the failures, I'd go out and I'd walk around for 2-3 hours. I'd have a friend with me to help me film in case people did say yes. And maybe over the course of 3 hours, I'd get 3 or 4 people to say yes, right? So not great numbers. And even then, people that said yes might not always be the most open, or it might not always have worked, or because I was still newer, I was still learning on my own. But from there, just filming videos for YouTube and just slowly starting to build up my channel, putting up some content on the internet. And then over the fall, I started doing some shows for fraternities and sororities, then doing some high school shows, then some college shows, and got with an agency and now tour around, but just slowly working my way up there. And then March of 2019 was when I had my first viral video on YouTube, which hit like 2 million views in the first couple weeks, which was super exciting.
That's great.
And people think too, they're like, oh, you got lucky and had, the viral video. It can happen to anyone. But I tell them, like, that was my 40-second video I posted. So I had 40 videos up beforehand that didn't really do much, didn't get many views, not very many people were watching, but it was just a consistency of continuing to push through the rejection of people saying no, or the people not getting hypnotized, to push through the failure, putting content out there until one piece finally did really well, and just continuing to build it up from there. And now with TikTok, getting on TikTok recently, that's been a whole nother ballgame in and of itself, but it's been a cool start. But I literally started just ground zero. I'm going to film a YouTube channel with 0 videos, 0 subscribers, just going to make it happen, and built it to where it is today.
That's amazing, man. That really is. I cannot contain my excitement for this any longer, sir. So if you'd like, shall we do something right now with you and me?
So what are you feeling? What do you want to try? Do you want to actually have the experience of going into the full hypnotic trance and feeling that relaxed meditative state? You want to do a couple exercises where you can just not have to go into trance, but just learn how you can use your mind in that different way? What are you up to?
That's a great question. I want the full force of Zach Pincince, whatever that is. I want you to don't hold anything back. I want you to use all your powers.
Somebody's going to take that clip, I want the full force of Zach Pincince, and turn that into a meme somewhere. You just created a new meme, so you're welcome.
By the way, we're going to have GIFs for the show now. We found a way to get GIFs on the Instagram thing, so that's going to happen very soon.
Started off with a good hypnosis GIF, right?
Right? Me levitating or something? No, that's not. Yeah, I don't know, man. Whatever you like, whatever you think is going to work, let's do it. Because I don't know. I really don't know. I'm open.
So, and the important thing going into it is you said you're open, which is good. And I can't hypnotize anyone that's not.
Right.
So the important thing is, sometimes people are like, they have the expectation based on what they've seen in the movies. And the stuff in the movies isn't real. The hypnosis where there's a mind controller and you're now under my dominion and anything I say you can't help but obey is just made up Hollywood narrative to have the most entertaining content possible. But that's not really how hypnosis works. That doesn't mean hypnosis is fake. That just means the movie stuff is fake. But sometimes people will go in with the expectation of saying, there's no way this is going to happen to me. I can't do it. But when hypnosis is about creating a belief in your mind, your expectations often tend to become self-fulfilling prophecies, and that's part of the concept of hypnosis. So depending on how you go into the experience, sometimes people go in and say, look, you can't do this, this is not going to work, this is going to be totally fake, and nothing's going to happen. And I say, you're right. I go, wait, what? I said, you're right. Because right now you're hypnotizing yourself through the expectation you're creating that nothing's going to happen. And if that's what you're convinced is going to happen, can't override that. Again, I'm not a mind controller. I'm not a real magician. I help you use your mind and help you teach you how to use your mind in a different way. But as a hypnotist, I'm really the guide. I say the right words in the right order to help people to experience a certain state, certain experience. But if you were meditating, for example, and the meditation tape or video says, and now close your eyes and let yourself relax, and you're like, eyes wide open, not relaxing, like, it's not working. This meditation stuff is fake.
Yeah.
It's not fake if you're not following the instructions, right?
Absolutely. I agree with you to those kind of rules. Okay. Yeah.
So part of going into this experience for you is literally giving yourself the permission to allow it to work. And this is not me telling you, oh, fake it and just go along with what's ever happening, but go in with this notion that it's going to work, you're going to be amazing at it, and give yourself full and total permission to let whatever happens to the point where you give yourself the permission to have the experience instead of sort of expecting it to happen. Because it's not something that magically happens to you. Sometimes people are like, oh, if I say close your eyes and sleep and snap my fingers, sometimes people will think I make people automatically close their eyes against their will. No, if I say close your eyes and you don't close your eyes, nothing happens. And so through this experience, giving yourself permission, it's less of me making you do something and more of you allowing something to happen to you, tuning out any other distractions, any thoughts, suspending any disbelief or any doubts, and just giving yourself full permission to go with the experience to the point that then it's not just you going with it, it actually is your real experience because you've allowed yourself to sort of go down that rabbit hole to the point that it's no longer you're trying to go with it to the point it actually is your experience.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
So what I'll do, just to kind of test the waters a little bit and start off with something a little bit easy.
Okay.
What I'll have you do is I want you to just close your eyes for me, if you will.
All right. We'll do this to make this easier. Sorry.
Yeah.
I totally ruined it already.
No,
Close your eyes.
totally,
Okay, here we're going to... No.
See? Exactly. I can't hypnotize him if he doesn't want to.
Right.
Totally.
Peyton, would you actually mind moving that camera to get both of us at the same?
Yeah.
Were you about to do that?
If you want to take a quick break real quick.
Actually, yeah. You know what? Let's take a quick break. We'll get the cameras reset. That way it can capture both of us at the same time. There won't be any editing.
No editing, right?
All right? We're real here at Wesam's World. I wouldn't lie to you. Zach wouldn't lie to you. We'll be back after the break. He's going to have me floating and levitating, right?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay, we'll be back. All right, we're back. We are back.
We are back.
We are back.
We are back.
I got too excited, and I said we are back way early. Yeah, let's do this. So should I take off the headphones?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear
If you can hear me, then you're totally fine.
Okay.
All right. So what I'll do is just kind of a quick thing to start with, and even I'm going to do something that the listeners at home can try too. All right. So I'll do this with you, and for the people that are listening or watching, they can actually try this at home themselves. But what I will say is just a preface is I'm going to do something where I'm going to have you and anyone listening that wants to do this close their eyes.
Okay.
So if you're listening or watching this at home, don't do this while you're driving or while you're cooking or while you're doing something that needs you to have your eyes open, okay?
Okay.
So just a quick disclaimer for the people watching this. It's not like unsafe, but it's unsafe if you try to close your eyes while driving, obviously. So
Awesome. That's the camera, if you want to talk
that's
into the camera.
oh,
Yeah.
Perfect. Looking around here. There you are. Hello,
Yeah.
listeners. All right, cool. So what I'll have you do, and if anyone wants to follow along, just follow along, listen to the sound of my voice. I'll have you just close your eyes. Close your eyes and just listen to the sound of my voice. Listen to my voice. And as you hear my voice, I want you to pay attention to just the feeling and the sensation in only your eyelids. And as you focus on the sensation in your eyelids, the more you hear me, I want you to allow your eyelids to get really, really heavy and really, really relaxed. Let those eyelids get even more heavy, even more relaxed now. That's right. The more you listen to the sound of my voice, the heavier and more relaxed just and only those eyelids get. As those eyelids get even more heavy and even more relaxed until they've gotten so relaxed to the point that you find they become so heavy and relaxed that they won't open. They don't want to open. They become that heavy that the more you try to open them, the more you find they won't open. They become so heavy and so relaxed, those eyes will not open. And you could even test this out now and see that if you were to try to open your eyes, they become so heavy and relaxed, they will not, and they won't open. Until I count up from 1 to 3. When I reach number 3, then you'll find those eyes will be able to open easily. 1, 2, and 3. And just like that, your eyes can now open. All right. Quick and easy experience. What'd you feel? What'd you think?
I was blocking things in my mind.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Blocking what?
I was blocking. I was like, I feel like I can open my eyes. Yeah, I was like almost disobeying you.
Yeah?
Yeah. That was my initial instinct.
Initial instinct.
Yeah.
But you didn't open your eyes.
No, I opened the left one a little bit, but I didn't. I was like, I was waiting for it. Yeah, I didn't know if that was part of the instructions.
Well, so here's the thing, too.
Okay.
And even for people that are watching this or listening or might be like, oh, my eyes opened or it didn't work. Like we talked about with the expectation, your eyes won't be shut if you focus on the fact that you can open them. Right? Because, again, what's really, like, if we were to do this and in the middle of being like, your eyes are stuck, the fire alarm goes off and you have to leave, you'd open your eyes and you leave. Right? It's not that your eyes are literally stuck and glued and I came in here and put super glue on your eyelids while you're sleeping.
Of course not, yeah.
But you're creating the experience in your mind that by telling yourself they're stuck, or listening to me telling you they're stuck, letting yourself become immersed in that experience, that becomes what's real in that moment. But if while you're listening to me saying your eyes are stuck, the whole time you're like, no, I can open my eyes. No, they're not stuck.
Yeah.
No, this is stupid. You're not wrong. But then you're focused on your own internal dialogue versus the experience that I'm giving you as the hypnotist. So the people that have that experience are the ones that just give themselves full permission to totally go with it to the point that not that they're going with it where they're faking or pretending, but they're going with it to the point that they're not doubting, they're suspending any disbelief. If he says, I can't open my eyes, I truly can't. And then that's when they find, now they test it out and they actually can't open their eyes because they're so convinced that they can't.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it feels though so simple and ridiculous though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That like I have to just listen to what you say basically 100 and just it feels like I'm obeying you, right?
Part of it.
Part of it. And I have to obey that believe that direction. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So that's somewhat of it, right?
So yeah, and that's the beginning process of it is just being willing to suspend doubt and suspend disbelief. Because here's the thing. Hypnosis is not the fact of doing the trance or delivering the suggestions or speaking in a deep voice or whatever it is. Hypnosis can look like a lot of different things, but the way that I identify and define hypnosis is it's a process of changing or creating a belief in your mind, which is something that we do all of the time. So hypnosis is actually taking place whether you listen to me or whether you listen to yourself. You are just determining which hypnosis you listen to. Because if I say your eyes are stuck shut, you're either going to be focused on one of two things. Either my suggestion that they are really stuck and you can't open them, or your own doubt that, no, I think I can open them, or no, they're not really stuck. Whichever voice you listen to will be the one that you experience. The reality is most people just tend to get hypnotized by their own doubt, by their own perceived limitation, and they stick with what they think they know is possible and never give themselves the chance to experience what they don't know isn't possible, right? There's a saying, if you do what you've always done, you'll never get what you've never gotten. And so if you just continue, or people watching this or listening or getting hypnotized, continue to focus on their own doubt, they'll experience their doubt. But if they give themselves permission to experience something new and different, that's when it's kind of like the process of faith, right? You let yourself take that leap of faith to saying, I don't know if this is possible, but I'm going to let myself create the experience as if it is. And that's when you actually make it possible.
Yeah. It feels like, I mean, I'm an actor. I pretend for a living, but it feels like more of what you're describing and the way you're describing hypnosis, first of all, is something I now realize I had a totally different perspective when I first started out. I know you mentioned it earlier on in the podcast, but now it's becoming clear to me that I really thought that somebody was going to control my mind.
Right.
All right. And I know you mentioned that, but now experiencing it, I'm like, oh, this is not it. This is a deep state of suspension of disbelief of – what's that breathing? Is there breathing?
Sorry.
That's okay. Are you all right?
Yeah. I've been sick this week. So.
Oh, I'm sorry. But I've I had this perspective of, you being able to control me. And that's not what it is.
No.
It's coming all from internally and allowing myself to experience things and believing those experiences, which is acting.
In a way. Well, actually, let me ask
No, I'm letting
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know that's acting. That's the craft of acting is your suspension of disbelief in a moment. Because when I'm acting on stage or in front of the TV, I am in a I'm in a focused state of mind. Does that make sense?
Right.
Like I'm not like thinking about anything else. I'm really believing those things are happening with physical results. Sometimes like I'm crying, that's a physical result
Right.
from it. Yeah.
So let me ask you, are you acting doing this podcast right now?
No.
No. Why not?
It's Wesam's world.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, it's just me.
Because it's just actually happening.
Yeah.
Right. And let's say if you were to stub your toe on the way out the door
Right.
and you like hurt your toe, are you acting when you feel that pain?
No,
Why not?
because there's no audience.
There's no audience, but it's actually happening.
Right, it's actually happening.
Right.
That's the main reason.
So the difference between hypnosis and acting, and I'm glad you brought this up. Again,
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to answer any questions or
I hope I'm not being disrespectful or anything like that. Yeah.
But I'm glad you brought this up because a lot of people will be wondering the same thing, right? Well, what's the difference between hypnosis or acting or whatever it is?
Yeah.
But the difference is when somebody's acting, they're creating an experience of something they know is not real. Right? If you're acting and I'm portraying a character on a movie, I know I'm not that character, but I'm doing my best to convince you I am. If I'm portraying
Right.
somebody in a play, I'm not that person, but I'm doing my best to convince you that I am. If you are doing this podcast, you're not trying to convince somebody that you're doing something you're not because you are convinced you're actually doing it. You are doing it.
Right.
If you stub your toe on the way out, you're not trying to convince somebody you stubbed your toe because you really did. The
Right.
difference with hypnosis is when somebody gets into that hypnotized state, it starts from that point, similar to acting, you're right, where you start to create that suspension of disbelief and let yourself go along with it. But where that rabbit hole ends up is you actually allow yourself to get into this trance-like state where the suggestion that the hypnotist gives you, or the one you give yourself, becomes what you think is real. So I could hypnotize somebody to think that they stubbed their toe. Are they acting? No, because they are totally convinced that they actually did. This is not me saying, pretend you stubbed their toe. They are actually, okay, this really happened. And we can see this happen where I've done videos where one of the videos I did on TikTok and YouTube is I had somebody hypnotized to eat a raw onion, like bite into it like it was an apple. I hypnotized him to think it was a juicy ripe peach. And the interesting thing is if you watch that video, you notice that when he's eating the onion, his eyes are not watering. If you're trying to act, you could be like, oh no, this is really delicious and this is good.
Wait, this is one of your videos?
One of my videos.
Oh, dude, we got to see this. I did not see this. That sounds so crazy to me that a person off the street can just go to those extremes and be that willing to believe it to that extent. Yeah, it's hard for me to get to that point because of, I don't know, man. It just seems like really extreme acting. Because in my experience as an actor, there have been times where you quote unquote lose yourself in the role.
Method
Right.
acting, right?
Yeah, method acting can get you there, but there's other ways to get you there into that, what I call the golden state.
Totally.
And you are in this wonderful median zone of awareness and unawareness. You're like, I know that was good, but I don't remember what happened. While everybody else around you was like, oh my gosh, that was great.
Yeah.
That was amazing. You're in that flow state, some people call it.
Right.
That is kind of remarkable to me that people out there, maybe they're the same people who really believe TV shows, who actually send death threats to the actor for killing
right.
off a character. Do you know what I mean? Those
Yeah.
people. Or is it Game of Thrones, Prince? Do you watch Game of Thrones? Okay. There's a really evil character. He was the prince. He was like this like bratty little kid. People were actually sending him death threats on Twitter. And he's like, hey, I'm just an actor.
Yeah.
This is not real. Don't do this,
Yeah.
It definitely is a mental state that I don't want to say it's easily manipulated, but it seems like you're easily manipulated. Is that true?
So, well, and manipulation directly implies malintent.
Oh, well then not malintent. Easily
Influenced or
persuaded. Yeah, persuaded or influenced is probably a more.
Because here's the thing, though, when we understand that principle that we all are easily persuaded or influenced all the time by mass media, by advertising, by other people's opinions.
Yeah.
Because the reality is when you think about, like, people often ask, can you hypnotize yourself? Or is self-hypnosis a thing? Absolutely. But it doesn't always look like putting yourself in a relaxed, deep trance, which you could do with meditation anyways.
Right.
But self-hypnosis is often being aware of what thoughts you're holding in your mind, because the thoughts that are in your mind are going to be the ones you tend to believe. But scientific studies have shown that 80% of our thoughts on a day-to-day basis are negative. And 90% of our thoughts are ones we think repetitively multiple times. So if a majority of our thoughts are negative, repetitive thoughts, that's going to be the ones that we convince ourselves is true. That we're not good enough, that we can't do things, that we're not able to do it, that we have to settle, that we can't live the life of our dreams, that we're never going to measure up, we're never going to be good enough. We convince even though that's not true. None of that is true, but when we convince ourselves that it is, we experience it like it is. That's the whole root of fear. Of a phobia. If somebody has a fear of flying, for example, as a common one, someone has a fear of flying, they know what is literally true is that more people die in car accidents than plane accidents, and planes are super safe method of traveling. But what they convince themselves is that planes are unsafe, that they're going to die, that they're going to crash. Anybody that's afraid or has a phobia literally has a story in their mind they're telling themselves about an outcome that may or may not be true, but that they're so convinced is true, it creates their experience, it creates a fear, it creates a phobia, it prevents them from living in what they know to be true because they're hypnotized by what they think is true. So understanding that that's how humans psychologically already operate and already work, as a hypnotist, I just take that principle and I run with it either for entertainment to create a fun, cool experience on stage or during a show, or transformationally to actually help people get rid of their fears or to overcome anxiety or depression or to be the best person that they can be, understanding that hypnosis, because again, a lot of hypnotists, especially the showy hypnotists, they make it about ego. They make it about themselves. Look, I am the one that can control you and I am the magical person and this is my ability. I don't care about that, the ego, about the fame. It's not something I do to you. It's actually something that I help you do to you. I always say my ability is not anything I do to you. My ability is to help you tap into your own ability you might not have even known was there to experience your reality based on either what you want to tell yourself is true or what I tell you is true for the sake of demonstration or example. But your mind is that powerful. Most people just don't realize it, and they let their own thoughts hypnotize themselves. They let their friends or their family telling them they can't do it or they're not good enough hypnotize themselves. They let advertisement, the media, whatever's around them, social media, celebrities hypnotize them to believe something, but whether or not it's true doesn't matter. It's just if they're convinced it's true. So hypnosis is taking advantage of that principle.
Right. It's definitely amazing what the mind is capable of, especially when you focus on certain things. And I can say this. I've gotten into a state where I thought something was wrong with me to the worst, most unlikely scenario happening. And I was focused on that so much that I was giving myself anxiety attacks. I was nauseous. I wasn't eating. I was freaking out, giving myself cold sweats.
Yeah.
And then on the opposite end of that, I've wanted something and believed that I could do something so badly that I've been able to get it.
Yeah.
So the power of the mind, I think, is quite amazing. And what you focus on is very important throughout the day. I'm really curious about this study, how they were able to figure out the 80 to 90% of people's thoughts. I'm really curious how they did that study.
Yep.
If people had to write down every time they had a negative thought or every
I
right
think that's
time.
what they did is
Yeah.
they write it down.
Yeah. That'd be the only way I would.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's no mind reading
Exactly.
machine out there.
Mind reading, mind control is not real.
No. But hypnosis, I'm kidding.
It's not mind control.
Not mind control. I'm kidding. That to me is where I think for me meditation and has helped me build my awareness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
To when I'm having those negative thoughts or having those when I want to have positive thoughts. It's really interesting. That's why I highly suggest it, because somebody like you who seem to have such great success in getting people into that state, I can only imagine how much better you would be if you're really in tune with meditating and your self-awareness as well, which I'm sure you already have a high amount.
Right. And here's the thing. When I do it in my shows, right, so what I usually do, if I have a big enough audience, which most of the time is true, I will hypnotize the entire audience at once. So what I'll say is anybody in the audience that wants to get hypnotized, listen to me, follow the instructions, let yourself experience the state. If you don't want to get hypnotized, nothing will happen, right? You just don't listen to me, nothing happens. And I just do it for the whole audience. And when you have 100 people in the audience, you're going to get the people that are the most open or the most willing to suspend their disbelief or the ones that are the most excited or have the best expectation about the experience to do it. When you walk up to people on the street, it's totally hit or miss. Sometimes you might do it and somebody is totally closed-minded or they think it's not going to work and nothing happens. And I can't make anything happen. They don't. And sometimes you get somebody that's super excited and super open and they use their mind in a totally different way because they're open to doing it. But I can't just walk up to anybody and control them. I can't walk up to anybody and make them sleep or make them pass out or do anything that they don't want to do. People have to give themselves permission to experience it. It's kind of like when you watch a movie. If for anyone that's listening or watching, if you've ever watched a funny or a sad movie and you've laughed or cried, think about why did you laugh or cry? Because you know intuitively that the movie is not real, that it's actors acting out a fake story, a fake script on a fake screen, and yet you have real emotions to a fake story. Why? Because when you're watching it, you're not thinking about the fact that it's not real. If you're thinking about this fake actor is doing a good job portraying a fake emotion, you're not going to cry or laugh. But if you let yourself become immersed in the experience of the movie, you become so immersed in it that it feels real to you. You resonate with the feeling to the point that you experience it for yourself. That's how you can have a real emotion to a fake experience, and hypnosis is the same thing. Obviously, none of it's happening, but to them, because they're so immersed in the experience, it feels real in the moment, and that's where it becomes their real experience. Even though it's not really happening, it's real to them.
Right. That's how I know a film has really done its job, because I work in the film and TV industry, and for me to suspend my disbelief nowadays is very difficult. I actually recently saw a film. I won't give anything away for you people, but Parasite. Have you seen Parasite?
Haven't heard good things, though.
You said you haven't seen it. Michael has
no.
seen it. It was one of the best films I've ever seen, actually, and the way it switches genres halfway into the film was so magnificent that my suspension of disbelief was kicked in multiple times, and it was giving me serious anxiety at certain points and heartbreaking moments, hilarious moments. So I get that feeling for people who don't work in the industry. Obviously, it's a lot easier for you because you don't know all the bells and whistles. Because when you're watching something, for me, I'm usually like, oh, I wonder how they got that shot, or that's cool, they probably did that for this, or this actor's doing this kind of technique, that's cool, or that wasn't so great. But the suspension of disbelief is an interesting thing, and I feel people do that nowadays for comforting TV shows, like The Office.
Yep.
Have you ever seen?
I've seen episodes here and there, yeah.
Do you have any comforting TV shows you watch that you like to suspend your disbelief?
I'm not a huge TV watcher, honestly, so I don't watch a ton of shows.
Really?
So, yeah.
I think you're the first person ever that I've ever met.
Yeah.
Because I work in the TV industry.
True.
What do you do then, other than? I'm sorry, we just took a left turn here, but I don't mind.
No worries, no worries.
But I'm just curious then. What like other than hypnotism? What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally laser focused on what I'm doing with my content and filming videos and doing shows. I mean, when I'm relaxing and not working, then it's usually just kind of hanging out with friends. I love playing board games, playing
sweet.
Ultimate Frisbee. So I have different means of relaxing. I mean, I'll still catch a show or a movie here and there, but I don't have like series that I binge, or I don't sit down and watch a lot of content.
Yeah.
For me, if I'm going to sit down and watch something, I'll sit down and listen to a podcast or watch an interview or consume content that'll help me to grow and become better.
Interesting.
For me, that's sort of just my personal preference. Is I want to consume as much that can help me to be the best version of myself as possible.
Yeah.
Not to knock TV. Entertainment's awesome and great, but for me, I try to limit it to a certain extent so that I can still focus on my own growth.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm gonna be. You sleepy? You sleepy, Michael?
It's working.
I don't think I'm in the right mindset to be hypnotized. However, we have somebody in here who told me it was their one of their bucket list things, who is very open-minded and was begging me the other day.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have him actually, let's see. I'm going to turn on this mic.
Before we do, actually.
Yeah.
Is it all right if I push you and challenge you a little bit?
Dude, yeah.
All right.
Are we doing this again?
Well, because here's what we're going to do. You think you're not in the right mindset.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what if you telling yourself you're not in the right mindset was the only thing that was making you not have the right mindset?
I have a pretty strong willpower.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. If you can be stubborn one way, you can be stubborn the other way, can't you?
Absolutely. If I want to be. But then I feel I'm faking
If you
it.
want to be.
Because I'm sorry to interrupt you.
totally.
Because my definition of hypnotism was skewed from the very beginning. So in my mind, it's just like, okay, cool. I'll just do whatever you tell me to do. You know what I mean? Like it seems, I don't know. Let's do it. Let's just try it.
So, and here's what I'll do. And again, oh, my chair's sliding here. That's right.
I know.
Here we go. Right.
Slippery here.
Slippery. So this whole time, you know you're not being controlled.
Right.
You're not being controlled. I can't make you do anything you don't want to do.
Okay.
But when you go in and you tell yourself that, oh, it's not going to work, I don't have the right mindset, I'm not going to be open to it, nothing happens. Why don't you just take your right hand for me,
Okay.
place it on the desk, and just look at the back of your hand.
All right.
Right now, you know, here we'll even move this out of the way so people can see that. I don't know if the cameras can catch it or not, either way, just look at the back of your hand. And right now, you know at any point you could lift that hand off the table if you truly wanted to, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
100%. All right? Continue to focus there, though. But right now, I just want you to give yourself permission to suspend disbelief that you can't and that it's stuck. Now, you know in your mind, yes, it's not really stuck. Yes, you can lift it up.
Okay.
But for now, I want you to suspend any disbelief and tell yourself it's completely stuck. If you need to imagine like the world's strongest super glue is on the desk and your hand just became glued, if you need to imagine that your hand is like fusing into the table, or if the desk is like wet concrete and it's just solidified, create whatever picture you need to in your mind that it's stuck. And right now, in fact, I just want you to start and pretend that it's stuck. Act, if you will. Do your best acting impression. Pretend. Can you pretend that it's stuck for me? Can you pretend?
Oh, like right now?
Right now.
Yeah,
Can
sure.
you pretend it's stuck? And if you're pretending and you're trying to pull it up and lift it off the table, pretending it's stuck, great actor, by the way. He's killing it, right? But continue to focus there. You can stop trying to pull it off for now, but continue to focus there. Continue to pretend. And now I want to continue to challenge you. I want you to pretend that it's stuck, but now I want you to pretend that you're not pretending. Could you pretend that you're not pretending?
Huh?
That's right.
Wait, what?
Continue to pretend that you're not pretending anymore. Let that hand become stuck as you immerse yourself in that feeling and pretend even deeper and even further to the point that you now pretend that you're not pretending, to the point that pretend is no longer pretend, but pretend feels real because your mind pretends it's not pretending. And when it pretends it's not pretending, that pretend feels real in this moment, that it feels so stuck that the more you try to move it and lift it, the more it feels completely and totally stuck to the table now. What happens if you try to lift that hand? You find it's become completely stuck. Really try to lift it and notice that you can't. Notice that it's stuck. But for a moment there, you're really confused, weren't you?
Yeah, because you said there was a lot of pretending. I was trying to listen.
A lot of pretending.
Yeah. Words.
But you notice how for a moment there, he was just so confused his hand stayed there.
It was confused from the pretending.
I was confused from the pretending.
Yeah, from when you were telling me, so I was trying to think of what you were saying.
Right, but you notice how when your mind got trapped in that thinking, your hand was still stuck there.
Yeah, not because it was stuck. It was because I was trying to figure out what you were saying.
It's never going to be stuck.
Right.
That's the thing. It's not stuck. Like 100% of the time, it's never going to be stuck.
Right.
So the fact that it's not stuck because it's not stuck is true 100% of the time for every case ever. I'm not gluing your hand. It's not actually stuck. But when you convince yourself it is, when your mind is convinced that it is, it is. And actually, when your mind got lost in that scrambled confusion of, wait, I pretend I'm not pretending and I'm not really what's going on, you were so in your mind and in your head and in the trance of trying to figure out what was happening, your hand still stayed on the table.
Yeah, because I was trying to figure out the direction.
Right.
I mean, physically, it was still on the table. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, let me ask you. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
What does it mean to pretend you're not pretending? Because you were kind of confused and trying to figure that out. What would it mean to pretend that you're not pretending?
Pretend that you're not pretending would mean that it's really stuck.
Right.
Yeah. But it's not.
But it's not.
Right.
Not if you tell yourself it's not.
But that would be a lie, and I'd be pretending. right?
But then when you pretend you're not pretending.
Yeah, but the core of it, it's still not real for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, the mind doesn't care what's true or what's not. The mind just cares what you tell it to believe. Because here's the thing. You're talking about anxiety and panic attacks earlier, right?
Yeah, the mind doesn't care. Can you say that again? Sorry, because that was really, I like what you just said. The mind doesn't care.
The mind doesn't care whether it's true or whether it's not. The mind just cares what you believe.
Okay.
When somebody has a panic attack, what is happening is they're actually experiencing their anxiety so vividly that they literally experience it in their body. And they have the physical panic attack. And then the fact that they're having a panic attack makes that anxiety even worse because they're panicking about panicking, and then it just delves them deeper into it.
Yeah.
But what's happening is they're having a physical response to something that is not true.
Right.
But the mind doesn't care what's true or what's not. The mind just cares what you tell it. The mind cares what it believes. If the mind is convinced that you are so anxious and upset and afraid, it will create a physical experience called a panic attack, whether or not it's true.
100%.
If you are totally convinced that your hand is stuck, whether or not it's true, if your mind believes it is stuck, it literally will be stuck and you can't lift it up. So that's the thing. As somebody, which is good that you have that suspension of disbelief, right? Because it's healthy to have. We don't want to just believe anything anyone tells us.
Right.
But to give yourself the permission to show yourself, this is not me trying to be like, look, I'm so powerful I can make your hand stuck. This is me saying your mind is stronger than you're giving it credit for, that you could make your hand stuck by telling yourself and convincing yourself that it is.
Absolutely. And I think I agree with you on that. That whatever you tell and you focus on, it will have physical effects on you. It just will.
Yep.
And the mind is that powerful.
What you focus on is what you feel.
Yeah, and you I truly believe you control your mind, whether it's subconsciously or consciously.
Yep.
I think for me, it's still going to be an extreme challenge with hypnotism for now, just because of that suspension of disbelief and because of my previous perspective on hypnotism from before. I think that's where my challenge lies. We actually got to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to continue this convo because this is great, man. I'm loving this. We'll be right back. We are back. Peyton, have a seat.
For sure.
One of your lifelong goals.
Yeah.
And Mr. Nick.
Zach.
Zach. Hey, you hypnotized me.
You did this.
Was this part of the hypnosis? No. No, you look like a friend I have named Nick, by the way. Zach.
Great point, though.
What?
To just go into that, your mind had a certain frame of expectation, a certain frame of reference, that my name was Nick based on your friend.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter that my name is really Zach, because that's what's really true. Your mind for a second got caught into a trance based on what you know of a friend named Nick, that you called me Nick. And I'm not a fan. It's totally okay. But that's actually a great demonstration to show how your mind for a second hypnotized itself to think I was somebody I'm not based on its expectation.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So look at that. We turned a blooper into education.
There you go. There you go. All right. Peyton, you ready?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Peyton is scratching off something off his bucket list. So go ahead.
Bucket list to get hypnotized.
Like, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced hypnosis before?
No.
No? But what do you think about it?
I see that's where me and him kind of differ.
Yeah?
Like, I hardcore believe that is a possibility.
Totally.
That can happen. You know?
And even through this whole process, again, I'm not going to ask you to fake or pretend that anything's happening.
Right.
Believe it, and like we were talking about, you have to suspend the disbelief to let it work. But this is not you just like acting along and playing along to make it happen. But what you find is that through suspending your disbelief to the point that I know you're already starting to do, but will continue to do through this experience, is it starts with suspension of disbelief, and then the disbelief just goes away, and then it's just total belief in whatever I say. And, again, you trust that I'm not going to do anything that's going to embarrass you or humiliate you, and be totally fine. He's totally open to it, which is good, right? But even like in my experiences, I don't ever like to do things that humiliate people for the sake of entertainment. Because for me, I feel like entertainment should not be at the expense of another person. So many hypnotists, they'll do the routine, and that's a classic one. People are like, oh, you're going to hypnotize me to cluck like a chicken, right? Like, no, because I'm not about embarrassing people for the sake of entertainment. So, You don't have to worry about that. I know you give me
respect
permission
that.
to, but yes, we're not going to do anything embarrassing or humiliating. We're going to just teach you how you can use your mind in a new, different way. All right?
Good.
So what I'll have you do, actually, if you will, is take your right hand and put it out directly in front of you, just like this. And I'll have you just turn and look at the center of your right hand. Have you move it a little bit closer. Just focus right there for me, if you will. Focus on the center of your right hand and just keep your eyes there. Don't take your eyes off of that spot. Let your eyes just stay on the center of your hand. And as your eyes stay there, let your mind stay and focus on the sound of my voice. That's right. And in a moment, I'm going to snap my fingers, and when I do, you're going to begin to feel an imaginary magnetic force between the tip of your middle finger and the top of your forehead as that hand starts to get closer to your head now. The more you stare at the center of that hand, the more you start to notice that magnetic force from that finger and that hand getting stronger and stronger. The more you stare at that hand, the closer you notice that hand starts to get. And the closer you stare at that hand, the closer that hand gets. The more you stare, the more you focus on the sound of my voice. As that hand gets closer and closer, that magnetic force getting stronger and stronger, you notice that hand continuing to get closer, continuing to shift. That's right. As you focus more on the sound of my voice, as that hand gets faster and closer now, that magnetic force even stronger, that finger pulling closer and faster towards the top of your head. As your eyes focus on your hand and as your mind focuses on my voice, that hand getting closer and closer now. All the way closer and closer, that magnetic force stronger and stronger. That's right. Doing great. Continue to focus. Continue to concentrate. Amazing, that hand getting closer and closer, that finger fighting, pulling. That's right. That force gets stronger and stronger. That's right. All the way there, that amazing state of relaxation and focus. Sleep. Eyes closed. Focus on the sound of my voice. Focus on my voice. Deeper, deeper, deeper. All the way down. Just relax. Just let yourself relax and focus on the sound of my voice. No longer having to stare at anything, look at anything anymore. Just focus on my voice. The more you focus on my voice, the more you relax. And the more you relax, the deeper you focus. I want you to let this right arm get loose, limp, relaxed. So loose, limp, relaxed, you just let it drop down by your side. And as it drops down, you drop down even deeper now. That amazing state of relaxation and focus in every single way. Doing incredible, doing amazing, even deeper, all the way down. That word, sleep, just helps you return to this amazing state of relaxation that you're experiencing now, but even deeper and even further. Sleep just helps you experience this sleep-like state. And you know that you're not actually asleep. You can still hear me, you can still hear anybody around you, you can still hear sounds, but the word sleep just sends you into this amazing sleep-like state of relaxation and concentration. Anytime I say that word, sleep, it just sends you deeper into this amazing state of relaxation you're experiencing now, but even deeper than before. Doing absolutely incredible and amazing. Go ahead and let yourself 1, 2, 3, eyes open. Doing good. All right. How you feeling?
I feel good.
Feel good?
I feel good.
Feel really relaxed? I want you to focus just right on the middle of my hand for me, if you will. Sleep. Eyes closed. Eyes closed. Let yourself drop even deeper and even further now. All the way down. Sinking, drifting, floating, relaxing, all the way down. That's right. It's an amazing state of relaxation. Deeper, further, all the way down. An amazing state of relaxation in every single way. That word sleep just sends you back to the sleep-like state. And even you know now, and anybody watching now knows that you're not truly asleep. I just say this word sleep to let you experience this sleep-like state of relaxation. And in this sleep-like state of relaxation, you find that any suggestion, any idea that I give you immediately and instantaneously becomes your reality. For the strangest reason, anything that I say becomes real to you in this state of relaxation and concentration. That's right. Doing absolutely incredible and amazing in every single way. That's right. And what you'll find is that the next time that you open your eyes, anytime I say the word hypnosis, that word has actually become the funniest word on planet Earth. There's nothing funnier than that word. The more I say that word, the more it just makes you laugh and crack up. That is the funniest word you ever heard. The more I say it, the funnier it gets. Doing absolutely incredible and amazing. Go ahead and let yourself 1, 2, 3, eyes open. Doing good. All right. Feeling good?
Yeah.
Feels pretty relaxing.
Yeah.
Right? And you mentioned you've never done any hypnosis before.
No.
No. But what do you think so far of experiencing the state of hypnosis?
It's very relaxing.
It is very relaxing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what do you notice in this relaxed state that you experience?
I just want to take like a nap now.
Just to take a nap.
I just want to like go to sleep.
Yeah. But you
Feels
notice
good.
hypnosis isn't sleep, though.
Right.
It's just letting yourself, and even the whole time, you weren't actually asleep.
Right.
But when I said that word sleep, what happened?
I slept. Well, I didn't actually go to sleep, but
Right.
I went into that state of relaxation.
State of relaxation.
Right.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So focus right here. Deep breath in. Breathe out. That's right. and let yourself just sleep. Go back to that state of relaxation, even deeper, even further, sinking, drifting, floating. That's right. Let yourself go to that amazing state of relaxation all the way down. Continue to focus on the sound of my voice. That's right. That's right. Suspending any disbelief and letting your mind just achieve this wonderful state of relaxation, concentration, focusing completely on the sound of my voice. And next time you open your eyes, you're going to find that for the strangest reason, your first name is just gone from your mind. The more you try to remember your own first name, the more you completely forget your own first name. You completely forget your own first name next time you open your eyes. The more you try to remember, the more that you forget. 1, 2, 3, eyes open. You're good.
Yeah.
Feels pretty relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. And have you done any meditation, anything similar? No?
Very basic.
Very
Like,
basic.
Never go to any classes or anything
Okay,
like
yeah.
that.
Totally. But
Yeah.
still, through that experience, you let yourself have a relaxed state very similar to what you would you meditate. You just feel so good and loose and relaxed.
Right.
And I know we did the intro at the beginning and everything already, but remind everybody again, your name is
Peyton.
Peyton. Right? And now notice what happens when I give you the suggestion for your mind to completely forget your first name. What's the first thing your mind then tells yourself?
I'm sorry, what do you mean? I'm sorry. What?
So part of your mind was listening to me telling you that you don't know your name.
Yeah.
Right? And as soon as I said you don't know your name, what did your mind tell it?
I do know my name.
Exactly. I'm not a mind reader, but I know exactly that's what your mind said.
Yeah.
Because that's what your mind focused on. So by telling yourself that you do know your name, you did.
Gotcha.
And even before, when we were talking about the word hypnosis being funny, immediately your mind went to, well, that's not a very funny word.
Right.
Because your mind, same thing as Wesam actually, is you just let your mind get focused on the opposite. So even though you are more open to experiencing hypnosis in general, your mind still went to the same place. Still had the same sort of trouble suspending the disbelief. I give you a suggestion, the mind immediately goes to the opposite.
Gotcha.
But what if you could still create that experience in your mind? Again, all you have to do is suspend the disbelief. And it's not that you're just acting or pretending. It's just that in your mind, you convince yourself that it's true. And what I'll have you do is if you take your left hand for me, if you will, bring it up to the back of your head. And I want you to use your imagination. I want you to imagine you reach into your mind and you pull out your own first name. Could you imagine you reach in and pull out your own first name? Did you do it?
Maybe.
Okay. Maybe.
Maybe.
Yes or no? Did you do it? If you didn't, then do it. It's okay if you didn't. Did you pull your name out?
No, I did.
Now you did. So where is your name right now?
It's right here.
It's in your left hand. And if your name is truly in your left hand, then your mind can't remember it because you can only remember things that are in your head and not in your hand. So if your name is in your hand and not in your head, then you'd find you forget and wouldn't be able to say it. And your name was?
Peyton.
Yeah?
I don't know. Because, that whole magnetic part in the beginning, loved that. That made me feel so relaxed. And then the sleep, and then I don't know. After that, it's just with the commands, I started getting lost. I don't know if I can get myself in that mindset.
Oh, he's got the
Right
same
now.
limiting mindset that he doesn't know if he can do it.
I want to, though. That's the problem.
Something interesting in terms of thought process came up in that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the same for you, Peyton. This camera's on me, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Got it.
The idea, whenever you were doing the
Pulling the name out.
pulling the name out, the physicality of imagining that was very visual.
Right.
You know, it's very tactical too. Fingers are very special, I think.
Yep.
And so, imagining that, okay, now this name of yours is not in your head. I imagined all of a sudden, immediately started imagining this blank space, right?
Totally.
And I will say this. Whenever I threw away my name and then you were asking him, what's your name? I was pretending you were asking me. For a couple seconds there, I was focused on the nothingness.
Exactly.
And so I was like, wait, shift my focus. My name is Wesam. Oh, interesting. So it's the shift of focus
Exactly. And do you
that
notice if
certain
you're-
people are easier to, excuse me, it's the shift of focus that certain people, maybe the way their brains are wired or the way that they've patterned themselves to think, causes them to focus on when they say don't think of a pink elephant, immediately start thinking of a pink elephant. So that's where that science of hypnosis, I feel like, and maybe some people, they have to have more practice, into that focus.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
And you notice how that's a good example. If your mind stayed on that initial focus of the blank slate, you wouldn't be able to remember your name.
Right.
Not because it's actually gone, but because your focus is staying there, you don't remember it. But in that state of focus, you're not consciously thinking about keeping your focus. It's just there.
Right.
Like when you're in a flow state of acting, right? When you're acting at your very best, you're not thinking about how you're acting. You're just immersed in the experience.
Excuse me. Absolutely. Yeah.
So the same thing when somebody's in a hypnotized state, they're not acting, they're not overthinking, and that's when people are in their head, they're not in the experience. Just like if you're trying to fall asleep at night, hypnosis isn't sleep, but just to use this analogy, if you're trying to fall asleep at night and you're in your mind going, why can't I fall asleep? Why is it so hard to fall asleep? Why is sleep really real? Is sleep going to happen? Why is it hard to fall asleep? Do you make it easier or harder to fall asleep?
Harder.
So much harder. But the fastest way to fall asleep is if you just clear your mind and let yourself become completely focused on the
Right.
experience, which is why counting sheep is like silly but a true technique that helps people because they just let their mind focus on one thing. That's why when you daydream, your mind focuses on one thing and you naturally drift off into that thought because your mind is completely focused on that one thing. So when you let your mind get laser focused on a belief, it will experience it. But what a lot of people do, which you guys are both doing, which is a healthy thing to do, by the way, is to have disbelief. Right? If Chicken Little comes in here and says, the sky is falling, it's healthy to have disbelief, to be like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
No, Chicken Little, the sky's not falling, right? But in order to have the experience that you want to create, whether it's something fun and entertaining in a hypnotized state, or whether it's to transform and change your life, to break a habit, to overcome an addiction, to break through anxiety, panic attacks, to overcome your depression, then you have to be willing to suspend your disbelief of your own perceived limitation, of your own doubt.
100%. I think that is the biggest takeaway from
Yes.
this. And also for the fact of the way we think is very critical. This has been an astounding episode, and it went into a place where I didn't think it was going to go to at all. It went past my expectations into a field where not only did it make sense to me now what hypnosis is, but also the capabilities of hypnosis and why it was used back during the Vedic times and the ancient Egyptians and the Greek times for healing.
Yeah.
And I think mental healing specifically, because the placebo effect
Totally.
is a
It's a
real
form of
thing.
hypnosis.
And the extreme negative aspect of that is also
It's the nocebo. Yeah. It's got a name. Yep. And it's so funny when you think about that. So placebo is like, I think World War II is when it started, getting more notice, is when nurses ran out of morphine and gave their patients water instead of morphine, and yet the patients didn't feel pain.
Right.
Because they had to focus on what they thought was happening. It didn't matter what was true. It only mattered what they believed to be true, to the point that that created their experience. But it works both ways. Just like you said, the opposite is the nocebo, which is like if you go to the doctor's office and get a shot, and the doctor says, hey, this shot might hurt a little bit, gives you the shot, it really does, versus he says, hey, what was your name again, and just gives you the shot without telling you. Doesn't hurt for some reason because
Yeah.
you weren't expecting it.
Exactly.
Even though the exact same amount of physical pain in both circumstances, you just got poked with the needle, the expectation, the focus on the pain actually intensifies it more so by focusing on it. So you can use the
Absolutely.
placebo for your benefit or the nocebo for your harm, but so many people are just constantly using that nocebo hypnosis effect where they're focusing on their depression, on their anxiety, on their fears, or on their worries, on their addictions, or on their own perceived doubt and limitation that they can't, and they never give themselves full permission to achieve the life that they aren't even telling themselves is possible. How are you ever going to achieve it if you don't give yourself permission to let it be possible by being hypnotized by your own perceived doubt and limitation? So totally.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yeah.
So I found I was very quick to get in that meditative state of mind.
Yeah.
But I also was very quick to tell myself, okay, let's snap back into reality real quick. Are there any exercises that you know that can help somebody to achieve that state of mind of like like believing like this is actually happening. Like any like small things somebody can do like every day.
So exercise is as far as getting into a meditative state or shifting your
Right.
belief?
Shifting your belief.
Okay. So the way that human beings psychologically create beliefs is our beliefs and our experiences sort of create this cycle. So our beliefs are reinforced by our experiences, and our experiences reinforce our beliefs. So I'll go back to the riding the bike analogy. If I were to want to learn how to ride a bike, I either have to give myself the belief that I can ride a bike to the point that I'm willing to get on a bike, or if I don't believe that I can and I get on the bike anyways, then, okay, I've had an experience which will reinforce my belief. I'll have a stronger belief, makes me want to get on the bike more, have a better experience, and that reinforces itself. Either way, or I could not know how to ride a bike, but if I believe I can, I'm going to get on the bike and figure it out. To your point of saying earlier, something you didn't think was happening, but you're so convinced you can make it happen, you did. To use another analogy for something more applicable to people watching, confidence. If somebody wants to be the most confident they can be, it has to start either on a belief or an experience. You either believe you're totally confident, even though you know you're not, to the point you start acting confident. You start acting confident, you'll believe you are more. The more you believe, the more you act, and so on. Or if you don't believe you're confident, you have all the doubt in your mind, but you just do it anyways, you realize, hey, wait a minute, I did it. And I can believe I'm confident more. And then you have an experience, and then you have a belief, and it creates this cycle. So for people that have a hard time getting into that mindset or developing that belief or getting caught up in their doubt, my biggest recommendation is like Nike, just do it, right?
Okay.
Give yourself an experience to push past the doubt, right? Just jump off the deep end, just dive right into if you're afraid of jumping off the dock, just jump off and you'll figure it out and you'll learn how to go from there. That experience will reinforce your belief. And sometimes people are so gung-ho about the experience, they want to have a better belief. So it can work both ways. But for people that have struggled with that doubt, my biggest advice is just to give yourself permission to have the experience, and the experience will reinforce your belief.
Sounds good.
Zach, this has been a splendid episode.
It's been a lot of fun.
It has been. And thank you again for coming on the show, man. If people want to check out your YouTube or your Twitter, Instagram, Zach Pincince.
Zach Pincince on everything.
Awesome, dude. I hope you had a good time.
Absolutely.
Dude.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. Michael? Awesome. Thank you. Thank you to everybody here at Adobe Radio, Nice Guy Digital, Michael, Peyton. Appreciate you guys. Yeah. Check out Zach's stuff. This has been a crazy episode. Probably one of my favorites, actually, now. I love stuff with the mind. So, again, thank you also to our new subscribers. And Andrew on YouTube, I saw you, buddy. You subscribed because of that video. And thank you. I see your comments, people. Really appreciate everybody following the show and for all your support. Always remember to listen, think, and then talk.